At Arizona State University, we've made online education better, smarter, and more personalized so you can go further in your aspiring field.
I decided to pursue medicine once I realized that ASU did have the online program for biological sciences. You're still required to learn the same curriculum. You're still being tested on the same content that anyone would be tested on in person. The comprehensiveness of the program prepared me so well for medical school.
Explore over 350 plus programs at asuonline.asu.edu. At Arizona State University, we're bringing world-class education from our globally acclaimed faculty to you. Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online. That's a degree better. Learn more at asuonline.asu.edu.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
I'm Lauren.
I am Ken.
And this is Paradise After Dark.
Dark.
Missing and Unsolved.
This is a Tomahawk Media production covering true crime,
missing people,
unsolved crimes,
and cold cases.
Please check out our website, paradiseafterdark.com.
On the website, you'll find links to all of our episodes, even the archived ones, our mailing list, merch store, and links to our social media.
We also have a cute little virtual tip jar there, so if you leave us a tip, we'll give you a shout out on the show. So, Lauren.
So tonight's episode is about Kamrie Mitchell, and this episode is being produced in conjunction with the Florida Themis Project. The Florida Themis Project is our nonprofit organization, and every month we feature a unsolved case or a missing person. And this month, the Florida Themis Project is featuring Kamrie Mitchell. Kamrie Mitchell, a 23-year-old woman, was last seen on August 25th, 2012. On the morning of that day, while she was at her father's residence in Lake City, Florida, an intruder named Andrello Lachard Witcher entered the home without invitation. Witcher threatened Kamrie and several others present with a firearm as he forcibly took some of her prescription medication during the encounter. Following this alarming incident, Kamrie promptly reported the situation to the police, who acted quickly by issuing a warrant for Witcher's arrest. Unfortunately, despite law enforcement's efforts, he remained at large when Kamrie mysteriously disappeared later that same day. In conjunction with her disappearance, her vehicle, a white four-door 1992 Pontiac Grand Am, also went missing, raising the alarm among her family and friends. Though Kamrie had a history of isolating herself for several days when upset, she had always made it a priority to keep in contact with her loved ones, especially to check on the well-being of her young daughter. Concerns grew when Kamrie's mother, Stephanie Warden, noticed her daughter had not made contact for several days. To locate her, Stephanie reached out to Jeff Mitchell, Kamrie's father, only to find that he too had not seen or heard from her since that troubling day, August 25th. As the days passed with no word from Kamrie, her family took the significant step of reporting her missing to authorities on September 2nd, 2012, igniting a desperate search for answers and the hope of finding her alive. More than a week after the mysterious disappearance of 23-year-old Kamrie Mitchell, her vehicle was discovered submerged in a flooded section of roadway along 184th Street in Suwannee County, close to the Columbia County line on September 5th, 2012.
This particular stretch of road had been inundated since June, primarily due to the effects of Tropical Storm Debbie, which caused significant flooding throughout this area.
Inside the vehicle, investigators found Kamrie's cell phone and purse, suggesting a sudden and unplanned event. It is worth mentioning that the location where her car was recovered is only a short distance from the home of Andrello Witcher.
Remember Andrello Witcher?
Following the discovery of the vehicle, the Facebook page Justice for Kamrie Mitchell reported that a witness came forward claiming to have seen a black man pushing Kamrie's car into the murky waters just days before it was found. At the time of her disappearance, Kamrie, affectionately known as Reese, was a recent graduate of Bradford High School and was employed at a local gas station where she was well liked by her peers and customers. She was taking some time off from her studies at Santa Fe College. Kamrie was 23 years old. She stands 5'5" tall, weighs 125 pounds, and has blonde hair along with blue eyes. Photos of her will be posted on our various social medias. Kamrie has various tattoos, including grams and a butterfly on her wrist, Kamrie on her left foot, and Layla alongside a footprint and birth date on her right side. Kamrie is currently listed in the National NCIC database as a missing endangered person. She is also registered in the NamUs database.
In mid-September of that year, authorities successfully located and arrested Andrello Witcher, who I mentioned earlier to remember. He's the one that broke into the apartment. Now, he faces several serious charges, including burglary while armed, possession of a weapon as a convicted felon, and failure to comply with the mandatory registration requirements for sex offenders. Since the disturbing disappearance of Kamrie, investigators from Suwannee County Sheriff's Office, Florida Department of Law Enforcement, Columbia County Sheriff's Office, and Alachua County Sheriff's Office have diligently pursued hundreds of tips and leads. Despite their extensive work and coordination, none of these leads have yet succeeded in providing clear answers or even shedding light on the mysterious circumstances surrounding Kamrie's disappearance. This leaves many questions unanswered and the community in a lot of distress.
Okay, we're going to talk about someone else for a second. Heather Ann MacCrossen was a resident of Newberry, Florida, when she mysteriously disappeared on August 17th of 2007, sparking significant concern in her community. Described by those who knew her as a shy, gentle, and sweet-natured young woman, Heather had a warm personality that endeared her to friends and family alike. At the time of her disappearance, she was employed at a local eatery known as Newberry's Backyard Barbecue, where she worked alongside her best friend, Heather Atkinson, creating an exceptionally close bond. In addition, her brother, Randy MacCrossen, was also a coworker, contributing to the sense of family and security within their work environment. Heather led a quiet, carefree life, often characterized by her love for simple pleasures and meaningful connections with those around her.
But at the time of her disappearance, Heather was in a violent relationship with Andrello Witcher, the same Andrello Witcher who was later linked to Kamrie Mitchell. Heather told her family she was afraid of Witcher, but she never sought a restraining order against him. That's a huge no-no, folks. If you're scared of someone, please do yourself a favor. Do something about it. Now, she once accused him of sexual battery, but the charges were dropped because she wouldn't cooperate with the investigation. We find this a lot in relationships. It's unfortunate, but it does happen. There were multiple documented instances of domestic violence between these two. And at one point, Witcher threatened Heather with a gun, beat her, and held her captive in her home for 2 days before she was able to escape. Now, certain witnesses stated that Witcher repeatedly told Heather that he was going to kill her and hide her body where her family would never find it.
Shortly before her disappearance, Heather fled to Michigan and arrived at a relative's home with 2 black eyes. Andrello was there the day Heather left, and he was literally watching her get onto the bus. He actually called her to tell her that he was watching her. Her friend Brenda Atkinson told WGFL News.
What a scary situation.
I know. This guy sounds like a total
Creep.
psycho. After spending a month in Michigan, she was returning to Florida because Witcher was allegedly threatening her and her family. I think the primary reason she came back is Andrello Witcher saying, "I know where your family lives and I will come there. I will kill your entire family." I think that's what got her back on the bus, Alachua County Cold Case Detective Kevin Allen told WGFL News. Heather was expected to reach the Greyhound bus station in Lake City, where a close friend would pick her up. However, she never arrived. Instead, she traveled on to Gainesville with Andrello Witcher and was never seen or heard from again. There's been no activity on her credit cards or social security number since her disappearance.
And like we find in too many cases everywhere, especially the state of Florida, with no body and no leads, Heather's case, of course, goes cold. That is, until cold case detective Kevin Allen got involved. Detective Allen told WTXL in Tallahassee, "I first interviewed him," Witcher he's referring to. "Prior to getting a warrant for his arrest, I wanted to hear his side of the story, and his response was, 'I've put that part of my life behind me. I've made my peace with God. It's God's will now.'" That is some serious arrogance. So what did you make peace with? Now, it was through witness testimony that Alachua County Sheriff's Office was able to file charges against him. According to Detective Allen, he threatened to kill her, and he had the means and opportunity to kill her. And according to Heather's mother, he was the last person to see her.
In April of 2016, Witcher was charged with manslaughter in Heather's case. In December of 2018, Witcher was convicted of manslaughter in connection with Heather's disappearance. He was sentenced to 30 years in prison.
This podcast is sponsored by IQ Bar. Your favorite clean, functional, delicious nutrition brand is raising the bar with a little help from Thomas Keller, Michelin star chef of the French Laundry. IQ Bar and Thomas Keller have teamed up to create a salted caramel chip protein bar and yuzu mango hydration mix. With toasted macadamia nuts, rich caramel flavor, and brain-boosting nutrients, this bar is like having a Michelin star meal in your pocket. Pair it with the taste bud-tingling yuzu mango IQ Mix hydration mix, packed with magnesium and adaptogens to improve clarity and mood. With Keller's culinary excellence and IQ Bar's commitment to great taste and clean ingredients, this limited edition collaboration is simply mwah. And the best part is that 10% of sales go directly to Chef Keller's nonprofit, Mentor, that supports aspiring young chefs. Great taste, great nutrition, great mission. Go to iqbar.com today and enter promo code Keller20 to get 20% off all IQ Bar products plus free shipping. That's iqbar.com, promo code Keller20.
Okay, so there's more to this Andrella Witcher. It's even scarier to think that there could be someone else, but in fact, there is.
Yvonne Katharina Belcher. Yvonne was born in the former West Germany and moved to the United States with her parents during childhood. She was employed as a dancer in a Jacksonville, Florida establishment and a server in a restaurant at Cattail Creek Golf Club near Florida Route 16 before the year 2000.
Yvonne was last seen in Green Cove Springs, Florida on December 22nd, 2000. At the time, she was living with her husband, Jesse Owens, who was known as Andy, and his mother in the residence located on Highlands Avenue. On that night, the couple had a heated argument during the early morning hours. Now, the dispute escalated to a point where the police were called to their home to help mediate the situation. Now, after the authorities arrived, Andy reported that he witnessed Yvonne leaving the residence and walking down Highland Avenue at approximately 2:30 a.m. Additionally, one of Yvonne's friends later informed investigators that he had given her a ride to an undisclosed location several blocks away from Vermont Street. This was just shortly after 2:30 a.m. Now, the house was known as an infamous crack house. He said that he waited several minutes for Yvonne to return to his car before departing the house. Now, another friend reported seeing her walking along Vermont Street towards Florida Route 16 around daybreak. Now, Yvonne, unfortunately, has never been heard from again after that night.
During the investigation into Yvonne's disappearance, a tipster told police that two men named Corey and T. Turtle brought Yvonne to the crack house in Orange Park, Florida, not far from where she was last seen. They all continued to smoke crack together with an individual known as Slim. According to his Florida Department of Corrections offender page, one of Andrella Witcher's aliases is Slim or Slim Witcher. According to Jenny Decker, host of the Down and Away podcast, even his mother referred to him as Slim in recorded jail calls. According to the story from the tipster, Slim was supplying crack cocaine to Yvonne on the night in question.
Now, according to the tipster, at some point, Yvonne stole some of Slim's drugs. Now, Yvonne freaked out when Slim realized she's stolen from him, and he hit her on the head, possibly with an object, killing her. Now, the tipster said the owner of the crack house told Slim, "Get rid of her." And apparently, Slim took Yvonne to an unknown location in Middleburg, Florida, and disposed of her body.
Angelo Witcher was questioned about this a few months later and confirmed that he was living with his mother at that time in Orange Park, Florida. The residence was 0.3 miles from the known crack house where Yvonne was supposedly killed. We have to remember that none of this has been substantiated, but it's highly suspicious.
Yes, highly suspicious that this man is involved in 3 women's disappearance. Scary to think that there could potentially be more. Now, Yvonne's husband, Andy, cooperated with the investigation into her disappearance and was not even considered a suspect, even though they had a tumultuous relationship. He was arrested and charged with beating her shortly before their March 2000 wedding. Both he and his wife were arrested on drug and alcohol charges before 2000. Unfortunately, Andy is now deceased, and authorities did search his home in 2005, but found no evidence of any wrongdoing or anything that could basically relate to the disappearance.
Authorities said that they believe foul play was involved in Yvonne's disappearance. Extensive searches of the area produced no clues as to her whereabouts. Investigators received tips that Belcher may have relocated to the Daytona Beach, Florida, or the Fort Lauderdale, Florida area to work as a dancer. The leads did not produce any evidence as to her whereabouts. Her family members said that it is uncharacteristic for Yvonne to leave for an extended period without warning. Yvonne remains missing to this day.
It would be highly unlikely and very uncharacteristic of someone who is somewhat family-oriented to some degree to just go missing and never be heard from again, never contact anyone, never contact a friend. I mean, we hear that it does happen. This does occur, but the odds in this case of this happening to 3 different women would be pretty odd.
3 different women who all had connections to Angelo Witcher.
And like I mentioned earlier, the scariest part is there was most likely more. Okay, so here's my question to you, Lauren. And I feel like I know the answer, but I always have to ask, and you're obviously more of a brain when it comes to this kind of stuff. If, in fact, he killed 3 different women, if he was involved in the homicide of these women, obviously he's never been charged with all, well, I guess he was in one.
With Heather MacCrossen,
Heather
yes.
MacCrossen. So let's just say, for instance, he was involved in the other 2, and they disappeared because he murdered them, something. Does that make him a serial killer? Because to me, it would seem like a serial killer seeks that out. Or is this just a guy who kills people because he's angry and then, you understand what I'm saying? He's angry, he hides the body for disappearance, or is this an opportunistic, or is he a serial killer?
Well, I mean, I guess if you want to get super technical, a serial killer is someone who murders 3 or more people with a cooling off period in between the murders. That's like the actual definition. But I don't know, serial killers usually are driven by like some sort of psychological sexual gratification. It's, if I had to guess, and I'm just guessing, it seems like if he did kill these women, maybe it wasn't like your typical serial killer motivation. It would have been just because they made him angry. Or, I mean, in all 3 incidents, with Kamrie Mitchell, he had broken into her house and stole from her, a home invasion, and she called the police. So there's a high stress, big altercation. With Heather MacCrossen, he had beat her several times in the past, and she had left him for a month.
She was involved with him, unlike
She was
Kamrie
involved
Mitchell.
with him. It is unclear whether Kamrie Mitchell was involved with him. Now, I didn't say anything about her actual relationship with him because I saw different accounts as to whether she was dating him or she just, well, it seems that she did know him. He wasn't like a stranger. But I don't it's not clear whether they were dating or not.
Okay. But that you feel like they knew each other. They did know each other to some
Yes.
degree. Okay.
And then with Yvonne Belcher, if you were to believe the tipster, they said that she stole from him, which made him angry, and he hit her over the head, killing her. So in all three instances, it seemed like he got angry with the person and killed them. It doesn't seem like a regular serial killer type motive. But then I guess if you, this is all hypothetical, but if you look at the actual definition, killing 3 or more people with a cooling off, quotation, I'm doing air quotes right now, quotation, cooling off between the murders, then I guess technically by definition, he would be considered a serial killer.
I would love to hear what the listeners feel about this, because I would love to hear, do you feel like someone who just kills because they get mad and they do it based on the definition that Lauren gave? Or do you feel like a serial killer has to be someone who is like Ted Bundy or Kemper that goes out and seeks to kill? I'm very curious what everyone thinks. I mean, I have my own opinion, but I'm kind of riding with Lauren on this. Based on the definition, it would be correct that he would be a serial killer. So I guess what we need to figure out now is who is this guy?
Who is Andrello Witcher? Well, according to his Florida Department of Law Enforcement sexual offender predator flyer, he is the Department of Corrections number J11118. Date of birth, February 6, 1979. Race is black. Sex is male. Hair is black. Eyes brown. Height 6'7". That is really tall.
That's a big man.
Weight 240 pounds.
Nationality, asshole. Well, on March 1st of 2003, he was convicted of lewd and lascivious molestation involving a child under the age of 16. That just set my teeth on edge researching that. Now,
he's definitely a bad man.
Definitely. Well, on January 31st, 2005, he was convicted of lewd and lascivious battery against a 12 to 15-year-old. Now, just follow us here. You see how this guy is, he could definitely be a serial killer, but he's definitely a child predator for sure.
Yeah.
Now, there are various other offenses on his record, including battery, fleeing police, failing to register as a sex offender, and, of course, burglary, as we mentioned earlier. Now, and then, of course, the manslaughter charge in the Heather MacCrossen case, that gets you along, you get into the battery and all these other things, but when you hit that manslaughter charge, that pushes you over another envelope. And that's, Heather MacCrossen, he did get convicted in that, and that's where he's doing his time from.
Yeah.
Now we don't need to go into his background because, honestly, it doesn't matter. And as Lauren mentioned earlier, he is definitely an evil man.
Yeah, I think that's all we really need to know about him. But what I'd like to know is, where are Yvonne, Heather, and Kamrie? Yvonne Belcher, Heather MacCrossen, and Kamrie Mitchell. Now, he was, like we said, convicted for manslaughter in the Heather MacCrossen case, but Yvonne Belcher and Kamrie Mitchell remain endangered missing people.
Yeah, and if you want to learn more about Kamrie, please follow the Florida Themis Project on all the social medias, because she is the case of the month. We would love to get some answers. And I always just wonder, do you think these guys will ever do that? I don't want to say deathbed confession, but this guy he's in prison he got 30 years. So he's going to be, he's going to be in for a really long time. I don't think he gets out until he went in 2019.
Didn't you say 2044?
Yeah, I think it's 2049. Yeah, 2049.
2049.
Yeah,
okay.
That's his actual release date.
So that's 24 years from now.
Yeah. And that's 24 years not enough.
So even if he did get out, he'd probably be in his late 60s.
Yeah. Oh, actually,
or early.
I'm reading it right now, Lauren. It says May 3rd of 2044.
Okay. So it was 2020 or 2044.
You were right.
Okay.
So I would love to pin a few more things on him. So if anyone knows anything, If you see,
I would love if anyone listening actually knows or has had any contact or interaction with Andrello Witcher. I would love to hear someone's firsthand thoughts about him.
Or what I would also like is if anyone has any connection to the 3 women that are missing, if you've ever talked to them or known them or had a conversation or went to school with them, we would love to hear some more information because, I hate to hear the horrific stories of these girls going missing, especially when you have that suspect. This reminds me so much of the cases that we've covered. And I don't want to mention the names because it makes me very angry to think about. But when you have the person,
I'll mention a name.
When you have the person in custody or who has committed the crime and for some reason you just can't pin it, and that pisses me off.
It reminds me of the Taylor McAllister case.
That's number one thought.
Yeah, and I actually wrote extensively about the Taylor McAllister case in my new book, Through the Shadows. So if anybody wants to check that out, you're more than welcome to.
I'm so excited.
Shameless plug right there. Through the Shadows.
Well, speaking of shameless plugs, when you hear this, we're probably going to be at the True Crime Podcast Festival in Boston. And I think it's going to be very exciting.
Yeah,
I'm excited to see all of our friends who we know that we've met through this journey of podcasting and Lauren's journey of becoming an author and all the great things that she is. So I just want to thank everyone for listening.
Yep. And that's going to be it. I will put it in the show notes, the places you can contact if you have any information about any of these 3 women. And that's going to be it for tonight.
Yeah, like I said a minute ago, thanks everyone for listening
To Paradise After Dark.
Dark, 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 dark.